A quick apology before we start. My voice is going to sound even worse than usual because I'm coming down with this weird sort of flu illness that everyone's getting at the moment that isn't COVID. So I sound like I've been just deep throating 24/7. So yeah. According to insider sources that apparently we can trust, Crytek have started work on a sequel to Ryse, Son of Rome, which is unremarkable and pretty boring news. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you again when I can be asked to put another video out in like maybe 6-7 months, something like that. But is it actually that unremarkable and boring? Ryse was released 8 years ago as the flagship launch game for the Xbox One, developed under the name Project Kingdom with a simple concept. Go to beautiful locations and stab the locals. Designed to show off the capabilities of the 8th generation, the decision to give a sequel to the gory adventures of Roman soldier Marius Titus now seems from the outside a very strange decision. Crytek has released 5 titles in those 8 years, including Crisis Remastered, 2 entries into the Climb series, and Hunt Showdown, a sublime game that slowly has gathered a decent sized loyal fanbase. My point is, commercially, Crytek has far safer options for what they do next. They dropped their initial plans for a Ryse sequel after middling reviews and underwhelming sales, but shouts for a sequel persisted. Well, maybe not shouts, more like whispers from the 7 people that played it. But why? What was it about Ryse that kept the few gamers that had played it asking for more? Ryse prides itself on the style of blood and gore, a quick moving camera giving the players the best view of Marius's killing blows. In the gore there is a grace. Combat revolves entirely around flow and rhythm. The combat has been created for immense enjoyment and reward. Like I said, it's all about the rhythm and flow when taking control of Marius. Marius himself was never designed to be a brute on the battlefield who hacks his way through everyone he faces. Instead, he's a gladiatorial showman who makes precise and calculated blows with his sword and shield on each enemy. Crytek have set the combat up so it flows with ease, and the player can annihilate wave after wave of enemies without even the tiniest scratch. There are no predetermined combos in Ryse, you create your own. Every move is available to try all the time, and you can utilise those in any way you see fit. Crytek have given players the maximum potential of creativity so that they can jump straight into the game as a champion. Each push, perfect deflect and attack that is performed will lessen the distance between Marius and the enemy, causing the killing to be faster and more efficient. Ryse's biggest strength is that the player is free to kill as they please in a dynamic and satisfying system. The executions are the cherry on top of the bloody cake. Normally I absolutely despise QuickTime events, but here they're a gory celebration of victory over your opponent. You can sit back and bask in your greatness. Pressing XYX, it's glorious. For the most part, combat isn't challenging. Surrounded by 5 intimidating barbarians, no problem. Once one is executed, the next in range could be seamlessly destroyed with no break in flow. The only time you're in real trouble is boss fights. I'm not saying you'll die, because, well, you just won't, but you will have to concentrate a little. Combat never evolves. The moves and powers you start with are the ones you finish with. You can upgrade executions to slightly cooler looking ones, but that's about it. These aren't criticisms. Oh, but I suppose they are, but they're not really important, or as important as they should be. The core mechanics of this combat system are just so ridiculously fun and satisfying that you could ignore all of that and have an absolute blast. Over Ryse's 7-hour campaign, it's addictive and holds up surprisingly well on repeat playthroughs. There's enough experimentation with siege sections, torpedo sections and being trampled by elephants that it never really feels stale. It's a beautiful, gory mess. Talking of gory messes, Ryse's loose take on a story is one of them. It is just all over the place, and I don't mean geographically, you only go to England, Scotland and Rome, but narratively. One of the better narrative decisions Crytek made was to ground the game in Roman mythology. Marius joins the 14th Legion on a campaign in Britannia, where they are instructed to travel to Scotland in an attempt to rescue Commodus, the son of Emperor Nero. They succeed while also convincing King Oswald and his daughter Boudica to submit to Roman rule. Commodus graciously accepts, putting any past troubles behind them.
Embrace me. King Oswald here with your peace. How dare you? You filthy, stinking dog! How dare you! You see what happens when you defy me? Never defy me!
This causes an uprising where the barbarians siege and take York. And in typical Hollywood action schlock, Marius sacrifices himself to let others escape. And this is where the Roman mythology comes to the fore. After you die at York, the eternal entity Summer brings you back to life in the form of Damocles. Damocles was a brave Roman centurion. This might look edited, but it's not. This is the game's wiki page. I mean, if this doesn't tell you all you need to know about the story, then I don't know what does. Anyway, Damocles' real story is this.
A revered leader in a vast army. During a massive battle, his cowardly commanders abandoned him. When the slain Damocles arrived in the underworld, Nemesis, the goddess of revenge, was enraged at how the brave hero had been treated. She allowed Damocles to return to the world as a vengeful spirit, a ghostly, black-armored centurion who would hunt down and kill each of the generals who had wronged him. To this day, many commanders carry a dagger with the image of Damocles on the scabbard. This dagger reminds them to always look after their men, or risk the Black Centurion returning from the dead to avenge their selfish mistakes.
The story from here is that Summer and Winter, two eternal spirits, are using you and Nero as pawns in their game. Summer reincarnates you as Damocles to kill Nero and his son for gross negligence. On paper, it seems a pretty simple plot, but its execution and presentation leave it entirely confusing. I mean, firstly, in scenes like this, it seems everyone can see and hear Winter. I kind of get it when it's a private conversation with Nero, except for the thousands of people behind them in the Colosseum. Because Summer also has private conversations with Marius when it's just them, in between his incredibly masculine grunts and cliches.
Go, Marius! I'll hold them off until the ship is clear. No! You have to go. You must live. The Senate will listen to you. You're a commander, they have to. Now go!
But Summer also does this. And in that scene, none of the barbarians register that she's there, so I'm guessing they can't see her. So is Winter choosing to show his face to everyone that he is manipulating against each other to start a war? Like, why would he do that? And then why does he go and look at Marius's drowned body? And I mean, like, why is he there? It's never explained. At this point, Marius is just some random soldier. Why does he give a shit? Does he know about Summer's plan? Then, you know, why doesn't he do anything?
Damocles. Damocles shall be slain by the great General Marius. And that general shall be slain by Damocles. But Emperor Nero, he can only die by his own sword. You cannot kill him.
And who is she? Wouldn't this have worked better if one of the spirits had said this to him? Like, we never see this character again. And all of this is without getting into how Nero orchestrated the death of Marius's family, which there were some huge plot holes in, but I can't be bothered to do it right now because I'm trying to like this game and I might cry if I have to start talking about it. But all of these decisions are made so much more infuriating by the fact that they can pay attention to other small details. They introduce the idea of crying tears of blood, something they make reference to when you kill Nero's son Basilius. And Nero's statue is crying blood when you kill Nero himself. A really great visual. They introduce a severed head in a bag during the opening, and it turns out to be Boudica's, and that's all good stuff, but it's just so infuriating to see that they could take care in those things which don't really matter, but the wider plot, the wider story, Marius as a character has been sloppily thrown together. And I think what it points to is the fact that this wasn't a story Crytek really wanted to tell. They just wanted to make a cool action game, and this happened to be a way to do it. So I suppose in answer to my question about why Ryse is getting a sequel, wait, no, I need to do the thing, 1 second. It's a real shame about the story, because if you could couple these combat mechanics with a compelling main character, you know, I mean, Manly Manus is about as interesting as a wet flannel. Add an interesting, coherent story, and a sequel won't be panned by critics and ignored by most gamers. It will shine, and being the eternal optimist I am, I believe the reason a sequel is in the works for this game barely anyone remembers is that Crytek knows this. They know what we want.